Well, thanks for having me here. I'd like you to picture this. You are walking in the woods, and you have a toddler next to you who is about 3 years old, and this toddler, barely mobile, right? You emerge from around a tree, and about maybe 20 feet away, that'd be about here to the back of this room, you would see a mountain lion, all right? Neither one of you has the element of surprise. The mountain lion is just as surprised to see you as you are to see it. So, what do? I'm going to give you 3 choices, all right? Choice number 1, you can run, all right? Simple flight, no problem with that. Choice number 2, what you can do is you can put the toddler behind you, protect it, all right? You can stand perfectly still, hope nothing happens, and you're okay. And 3 is that you're going to be able to sit and play dead, all right? So that's the second sort of grouping of choices. And the third full choice is to aggressively confront the mountain lion, all right? So you've got 3 choices. You can run, you can do nothing, play dead, or you can confront the mountain lion. And there's a 4th choice, actually, which is you can take the toddler and throw the toddler at the mountain lion. But we're not going to allow that one for now. So everyone got a choice? Okay, I'm going to ask you to stand, depending which of the 3 choices. And if you are not standing, I'm going to pick you as a volunteer. So hopefully there'll be no volunteers. Okay, so who would choose choice A, which is to run? Can you stand, please? Okay, looks like very few of you. All right, so we're looking at maybe about 10% of the room. Okay, you can have a seat. Thank you. Choice B, which is stand perfectly still, put the toddler behind you, play dead. All right. This is the majority. Okay, you could have a seat. Thank you very much. And choice C, which is to confront the mountain lion aggressively. So please stand. Okay, so it looks like this is the second most populated. All right, thank you. You could have a seat. And sir, just part of this is body language. I see you grasping your jugular. That's a sign. Both of you, actually. It's a sign of nervousness, actually. Both of you, you who just turned around, actually, yeah. When you grab your jugular, that's because the mountain lion's about to attack your jugular. You're thinking about this. There's a certain nervousness there, right? Just as a body language first impressions tip is you can tell when someone's a little nervous or when they're worried about something or fixating when they touch their jugular, because this is the death spot, right? Mountain lion grabs it, you're dead. Okay, so for those of you who stood, I'll bet you, so you're going to run. How many of you, for those who stood, you'd grab the toddler and pick them up? Any of you do that? No? Okay, so you just run with the toddler beside you? Okay. All right, that's great. Newsflash, as great as it is, and thank you for your honest answer, unfortunately that's the worst answer. So, sorry. Thanks for playing. You'd probably be dead by now because you're running. Imagine you're professional desk jockeys. You've got 2 legs. The mountain lion hunts for a living, and it's got 4. So, if I had to bet, I kind of bet in the mountain lion. And you've got your back turned. So, bottom line is you are at a disadvantage, actually. So, nice try. That's not the best way to approach this, but thank you for your honesty. The second choice, which is the majority, I'd say more than half of you for sure, probably 60% of this room, chose to stand perfectly still. And my guess is you're probably standing still, hoping that the mountain lion won't notice or will be bored, leave, and then you're probably being good. You're protecting the toddler, right? So how many of you would put the toddler behind you? Show of hands. Okay, great. The great majority of you who chose that choice. And so that's not a bad choice. It's a 50-50 choice. But I want you to think of impressions here. What impression you're giving off? The impression is that you're giving off that you are basically being protective. There's something important to hide, all right? And that you are now in a defensive posture, which means that when you put the toddler behind you, or even if you're standing perfectly still, what you've done is you've given the mountain lion first mover advantage, okay? So now the mountain lion actually can move faster and better than you because it can move first, for no other reason than that, okay? So it's not a bad choice, because if the mountain lion is bored or is scared, then it will run off. So there's a 50-50, right? And again, just a quick show of hands, who chose the third choice? Okay, congratulations, you've got the best choice. And anyone have any tactics here that you would actually do? How many of you? Okay, sir.
Do you have a laser pointer in your pocket?
Laser pointer, okay, yeah, that actually works. Yeah, if you happen to carry a laser pointer. Okay, yeah?
The mountain lion is probably more scared of you than maybe you are of it, so if you kind of aggressively come run at it and scream.
Okay, yeah, this gentleman said let's be a little aggressive because the mountain lion's probably more scared of you than you are of it, which is actually generally true. So you're taking an aggressive posture. You may not want to fully charge, but you can at least posture toward it. Laser pointer, someone said, or tool, any type of tool. Remember, rocks, sticks, all this. So let's dissect this. Let's go back and think about what impression this sends, all right? So first of all, tools, all right? The first gentleman said that. Now, if you think about it, there's pretty much only one group of animals that can actually use tools. Apes, monkeys, right? Primates. So we can grab, okay? Mountain lions can't grab anything. Other than natural defenses like skunks that can shoot spray or octopi, you really don't have other groups of animals that can do that, which is use tools. And think of it this way. If you think about our largest aerospace and defense companies, they produce missiles, right? You don't even know who your enemy is, and you could click a button, and boom, they're dead within seconds, potentially. So that is one thing that differentiates us from animals, is that we can build infrastructure and actually use tools in a way that most animals cannot, other than primates, okay? So that's already one, which is an advantage. And the modern day tools that we have in the workplace, since this is about professional development too, the way you dress, the laser pointer you carry. You're talking about glasses are tools, little ornaments, the types of shoes you wear, the type of collar you choose to wear. People judge all these things. And then, so you've got different types of tools here which are very valuable for you to use. Now, the other gentleman said to actively charge, all right? When you charge a mountain lion, I want you to think about this, which is that you are now having first mover advantage and you've intimidated it, okay? So what's important there is you've established dominance, and in a setting, before that mountain lion even gets a chance to react, you have already established your positioning. Now, how's this work in the workplace? I want you to think about this. Aggressive people, people who are more vocal, I shouldn't say aggressive, but more vocal in the workplace, all right? Think of the world leaders, from religious leaders, political leaders, corporate leaders. Think if there's a dividing line between more vocal and less vocal people, how many of you would say that the leaders tend to be less vocal? How many of you say would be more vocal? All right, so let's just show of hands. How many would say world leaders tend to be less vocal? 0, right? So just for confirmation, how many would say more vocal? Just to confirm. Okay, so we're at 100%. Think about where you fit in the workplace. Do you tend to be on the more vocal side or the less vocal side, right? A mountain lion behaves the same way. The more vocal you are to make noise, to charge it, to posture, that works in a professional human-based environment. And finally, I'll give you the example. Well, actually, there's 2 more. But one is that you can actually take the toddler, and you could put the toddler on your shoulders or hold the toddler up. This is a scenario where the toddler is actually not a liability. The toddler is an asset. Because, again, what other groups of animals are highly collaborative? In a long-term sense, not that many, but again, primates, though, they stack, right? Monkeys can stack on top of one another, which makes you look taller. And tying it with taller is you can actually wave your arms and look bigger or hold the big stick. Now, I want you to think how this ties in the workplace with us. Did you know that taller people make more money than shorter people? According to a 2003 study, $789 per inch per year. All right? Adjust for inflation, right? Over $800. Most of you here are probably college educated, so you're talking about, let's say, working 42 years. You graduate at 23, you retire at 65, well, if you can nowadays. So that's basically 42 years, compound interest at $800 per inch per year. Let's assume you've got 6 inches over the next person. You have effectively gotten easily over $250,000, all right? Just for nothing, for just being born taller, nothing else. And do you honestly think if we're that rational that we would have that? And this is filtered for age, race, and gender, all right? So what it is there's not that there's an HR person who says, oh, you're going to make less money. Oh, stand by that ruler for a minute. I want to see how tall you are. We're going to correlate that. It affects you. So think about how your first impressions from being more vocal to being bigger and having a presence actually makes a difference, to being more proactive. Because if you think about it, the root word of promotion is to promote. No one's going to promote you. You have to promote yourself. So therefore, this example is a perfect example of how the world works in terms of a first impression, okay? So what I want you to think about here in this mountain lion scenario here is that humans are thinking animals. You know who said that first? This is translated from Greek, which is Aristotle said that humans are thinking animals, all right? Which means that we are like animals, but we have rationality. not all animals have rationality that's long-term that we do, where we could build infrastructure, right? Animals will have some rationality, very short-term. Wolves hunt in packs, but that's short-term to get the prey. Then they revert back. We can build infrastructure. So on the one hand, we are more rational, but I'm going to flip it. I'm going to flip Aristotle's logic as well. Aristotle is absolutely correct, but the other part's true. Because if we were rational, we wouldn't pay women less, right? Depending which stat you look at, 74 cents to 81 cents on the dollar, depending on which particular metric you're using, but for the same job. Or, for example, you're looking at shorter people being paid less than taller people. If we were truly rational human beings, we would not look at that and treat people differently based on that, but we're not. So humans are thinking animals, which means, you know what? We're still animals, all right? And here's what you can do to your advantage now. Think of first impressions now. It's not just dressing nice for your interview suit. It's what it is you can gauge your audience, anticipate what they expect, and use subtle little tools over and over again to drive that impression home. I want you to think about how this impacts us every day, and it's scary when you really put it down. Because I'm going to give you a couple takeaways, which is one, you know how long it takes? The old CEO rule is you make a first impression, okay, in 3 seconds. CEOs judge you in 3 seconds. Old research shows it takes 7 seconds to make a first impression, that we process that fast. 2 studies done in 2006 showed, all right, one showed it takes 50 milliseconds to make a first impression. The other one, 38 milliseconds. We are judging so fast we're not even conscious we're judging. So imagine if I gave you 30 seconds to judge a person. You will judge how smart they are, educated, how social they are, how affluent they are, whatever it is, just because that's our gut reaction. The hard part is fighting against that instinct. That actually takes a lot of rationality. So it actually takes much more effort to deprogram what we judge than it is to judge. Because it takes virtually zero effort if it's 38 milliseconds. That's a brain scan. That's how they know how quickly we judge, okay? So use this to your advantage. Because if you think about it, all the best political business leaders, they have image consultants, coaches. They know which side to enter from, how to shake a hand, what looks best on their body, how to do their hair. All these little subtle things. Imagine adding all these things up, and I'll give you several examples of why this is so important. You think about attractiveness. Did you know that professors that actually look more attractive to students, they get higher evaluations from students, okay? Yeah, you're nodding your head, right? You sort of know what we're talking about. Oh, you know, if you ever read those ratemyprofessor.com, whatnot, they'll see professors, and you can correlate it. Just look at them, the ones that get high ratings, often you'll see, wow, that, you know, cute professor, this and that. You'll see those types of comments, all right? General correlation. And think about it this way, dogs. This doesn't even happen with animals. The cuter a dog is, the more likely you are to approach it and pet it and say, how cute, which means they have people coming to them. They don't have to come to other people. Think about it for a minute. Because you're so attractive, people come to you, they gravitate. And attractiveness is measured not just by physical appearance, although they say that actually, do you know what the most attractive face is, supposedly? A symmetrical face. Not actually you know, anything that's super unique. If you look at fashion models, they look very generic, a lot of them, because they are. They are actually, symmetry is a sign of good health. When you're a baby, you're symmetrical. And then we carry backpacks and purses and other things where our bodies get imbalanced. It's a sign of aging and that the world has worn us. So symmetry is very important, okay? And it works in reverse. Professors give higher grades to college students. They had a study where they gave essays, and these essays now were graded by a group of graders. Then they had another group of graders, and they were all norms, so they give roughly, you know, within a third of a grade difference. They attached pictures, random pictures to these essays now that weren't even by the authors. And the pictures that were deemed more attractive got higher grades, all right? So there is grading bias too. So next time you do a presentation, think about the subtle little touches. And then meals, okay? They had a restaurant study where they actually had 2 focus groups, and they were told that they were a focus group for restaurants. And what they found, the first one, they just had a menu. It said menu. They said steamed fish, you know, chocolate cake. Very mundane descriptions. They just literally said what they were, all right? And then they served them on paper napkins, normal china, and they served the wine in plastic cups, all right? And the second group, fine china. Same food, all right? But they would call it Patagonian encrusted fish and whatnot. And then not menu, but today's featured selections. All these nice little touches here, right? And they served not only the fine china, but the wine glasses, cloth napkins. So just a little bit more. And then they asked both groups, the first group, how would you rate your meal, right? The first group said they'd rate the meal on a 3. On a 1 to 10 scale, they rated a 3. And secondly is, how much would you rate the price? $10 and something cents. $10 and change, not even $11. Second group, an 8 on the scale of 1 to 10. And they priced it at $38. All right? So I'm going to challenge you, same exact food, I'm going to challenge you, who are you as far as this meal? Are you the one who goes in and just presents yourself and says the content's enough? Or are you the one that dolls it up just a little bit, all these little subtle touches? And if you look, all the world leaders tend to dress just a little bit better. Even in Silicon Valley, where now they're wearing jeans, and sport coat, not even wearing ties anymore. They call it CEO casual because your jeans are pressed. They are even now wearing nice designer jeans, pressed, right? Custom tailored suits, things like that, even though they're not wearing ties anymore. So even these little touches, we judge. And we are very judgmental human beings. It's not me, it's us as human beings, all right? And then promotions and interviews, of course. The more attractive you are deemed, the more likely you are to get promotions. It is correlated. And with interviews. Of course, if you go too far, for example, there was a study that said women who flirt too much, they actually, for their peers, actually make less money. So it hurts you if you use it in a flirtatious way. But it helps you if you are able to use it in a very subtle way. Okay? Now, lighter prison sentences. Okay? That's just reality. That convicts, now get lighter prison sentences that are deemed more attractive. You ever notice the ones who tend to get off? Recent media, right? Casey Anthony, O.J. Simpson. These are not average-looking people. They're very attractive people, and they come in very well dressed. So that's why they always say come in your nice sport coat, right? Look nice for the judge. And the ones who don't get off are usually late. They dress certain ways. They're not very responsive. So it's a combination of engagement. It's not just how good you look, but it's how you engage as well. All right? And the last example I'll give in terms of how this is really a powerful indicator, okay? It's around the example of glasses, okay? So I'm going to ask you, you see someone with glasses. What are some common interpretations of those who wear glasses? What do you think? Smart, nude, bad eyes. No, did you say nude? Yeah. So, yeah, bad eyes or smart are the two most common, right? So let's say you've got bad genetics, right, or just you don't take care of your eyes, you read too much, whatever it is, or smart, all right? So, and hopefully not nude, but okay, I misheard that one. Okay, but what it is you're viewed as smarter on the positive side. So think when you don glasses, all right? They had an experiment where they had 2 10-year-old twins, all right, so a pair of twins, and the boys, they dressed them the same way, but put glasses on one. And then they asked 2 classrooms of 9-year-olds, okay? Who would you rather have help you with your homework? And you know where this is going. 36 out of 38 people, those students, chose the boy with glasses. So if you say, oh, it's just glasses, well, that's way beyond statistical significance. And now, if you choose, I mean, some people have dummy glasses, right, without prescription lenses if they want to look smarter. But there's a flip side to this. If you wear glasses, you are viewed as less dateable. So you're viewed as less romantically attractive, less social, all right? So it depends what your objective is. Are you trying to look smarter or more social, okay? So I'll leave you with this, which is, when you think about first impressions, it's strategic. So here, I mentioned in my book, of a quality assurance checklist, that's what you should be doing, all right, is checking yourself head to toe. How's my hair, eyes, whatnot. So here's a very practical tip. Look head to toe when you have an important event in a mirror and check yourself. I'm serious. I've heard many, many stories where someone, with just their zipper down, it literally cost them, okay? So literally, not from them, but from recruiters, from other executives, whatnot, all right? So think of it as a QA checklist. And so, I can give you this later, but one of the things also then is, I'll leave you with, the major message, which is impressions are highly strategic. They are the way to influence people because you think, oh, I'm going to say the right things. I'm going to, behave the right way. You know what? The reality is they are judging you within those 38 milliseconds before you've even had a chance to open your mouth and say anything smart. You can look at gaming the system and make yourself look taller, make yourself look shorter, whatever you want, more polished, more social, simply by altering little things from glasses. Imagine if you altered a dozen things, but glasses alone are enough to do something. Pol Pot, the Cambodian dictator, he killed people, executed them for wearing glasses because he thought they were smart and they would be rebels. So if you wore glasses, you were executed, all right? So that's how powerful it is. But on the flip side, impressions are strategic. And they are the most strategic form of influence. You know why? Because you've orchestrated how this conversation is going to go before anyone has opened their mouths. So that's why they say content is king, but I say impressions are aces, because they trump content because they come first for no other reason. So thanks for having me here today, and hope you enjoy. Thank you.